What's going on, good people? Ashe and Otep, as always, it's your boy Zach Taylor. Happy Black History Month, or as we should be calling it, World History Month. Um, I wanted to make this quick video to kind of shed some light on a couple things for y'all. Typically around this time of year, I either see one of two type of people during Black History Month. I either see people that are talking down on the month, right? Saying that it's the shortest month of the year, it's the coldest month of the year. They gave us this time to celebrate, and I don't know who they is. Or I see another group of persons who are the ones celebrating, right? Spreading enlightenment, information, and different news when it comes to Black history and how we've contributed not only to this nation but to the world, in all across the diaspora, not only in um, public events that may be happening, but also just sharing some of this news and information on social media. So, what I wanted to do today was kind of give some of y'all some background on Black History Month, because I just don't like the disrespect that I see that typically comes from ignorance and lack of knowledge and awareness. So I'm here to enlighten those who don't have the knowledge. So first off, Black History Month was not given to us by the government or white people. I hear out my entire high school career and even in these young stages of adulthood, I keep hearing people say they gave us the shortest month and the coldest month of the year. First off, who's they? Second, if we want to be technical about things, um, again, just sharing some knowledge with y'all. The calendar that we go by is not the original calendar that our ancestors used throughout the year. Many different Roman and Greek men who created these calendars that we go by, the Gregorian calendar, they added days to other months for their own personal reasons or gain. So really, each month needs to have 30 days. If I was to get into the astrological genius of things and why each month was divided into 30 days. 30 days it takes to go from one astrological sign to the next, but that's for another discussion, right? But the point I'm making is that when people try to talk about this being the shortest month of the year, every month is supposed to be 30 days. 29, 30 days, that's the min maximum for each month. But because man wants to tamper with things, not every month has the same amount of days. Um, and as far as it being the coldest month of the year and people not wanting to come out to events and support and whatnot, that's baloney because black people especially, love to stand outside of shoe stores to get the new Jordans that come out even though it's freezing cold outside. People are still going to work in this crazy snow that's been falling for the past 2 days here in Missouri. So that excuse about it being too cold is irrelevant because y'all still going to work at y'all jobs that y'all hate when it's blistering cold outside and y'all still doing things that y'all just don't want to do, or like I said, going to buy these shoes that ain't about to make no real gain for y'all. um, but who started Black History Month? Where did it come from? First off, it actually started as just one week, typically during the week in which Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln had their birthdays, because in which the roles in which those two men played, whether it be for personal or economic or even just for the people, the roles they played when it comes to black people being able to move forward in this country, they're at the helm of those events, right? Um, Carter G. Woodson, in his studies, realized that there really was no input of black people all across the diaspora and how they contributed to the world, not only to this nation but to the world. And so he basically initiated the idea of during this Negro Week, where we look to educate ourselves of our history and our contributions to the world. And through time, this started in 1926. And then later on in the 60s, that's when Negro Week became Black History Month. So it is not the government or some white elite party in which you guys conjure up in your minds that gave us Black History Month. It was actually started and founded by a black man named Carter G. Woodson. And you can go look him up. and look at what else he did for the progression of African American, indigenous, and colored people. Next, I want to share with you guys the the effect that the Willie Lynch letter or Willie Lynch syndrome has had on all of us. Because again, going back to those group of persons that kind of talk down on Black History Month, I see that as a sign of Willie Lynch syndrome. There are so many different aspects within that letter. If you read it, and it's not a long read, I know we're not being taught really to read extended literature in this day and age, but please take the time to read it, and you will see how not only is it just a generational thing, but a complexion difference that we have, as well as when it comes to different ideals and different philosophies in which people carry on to progress forward, for whether it be themselves and their families or for their entire race and their culture. But I really advise all of you to read the Willie Lynch letter, because I think you will see how there's a disconnect between Black men, Black women, the different generations, as well as persons that just have a different philosophy when it comes to how they go about making things better for themselves and for their culture. So please read that letter. Next thing I want to touch on real quick is reparations. This is a time where I've seen a lot of talk about reparations, or why we are not getting reparations, or why it shouldn't be talked about. And I actually watched a video last night where brother Tariq Nasheed, and if you don't know who Tariq Nasheed is, he actually is the main producer and executive producer of the Hidden Color documentaries. And if you haven't seen one, go check it out. So now I'm giving y'all some homework. Look, read up on Carter G. Woodson. Read the Willie Lynch letter and watch one of these Hidden Color documentaries. You'll really get enlightened as to what's really been going on and some of the wool that's been pulled over our eyes. Not necessarily by our people, but just by the propaganda that's being put out there. But what I saw with this video with reparations is that you have a lot of people that look like us, African American, Jamaican, Costa Rican, different cultures and backgrounds that these people come from, but they look like us, and they're on the news, they're on these debate shows, they're in the House of Congress, House of Representatives, they're in these arenas basically advocating that we don't need reparations, that it doesn't do anything, and it's just a handout, and it's only part of the solution, but it's not the whole solution. But they don't talk about how every other culture, because of what they have had to endure, whether it be from this country or just in their native homeland, they've gotten reparations. Each culture, the Jews, everybody has gotten reparations for what they have been through, yet they don't want to give it to the African American race. All right, one guy in the video that I watched asked, well, my family's from Costa Rica, we got here at a certain time, do we get reparations? Yes, because Black people across the entire diaspora have been oppressed in a different way than any other culture. So yes, you would get reparations. You should get reparations. So make sure y'all looking out for that. There's going to be a lot of talk this month about reparations, that they should be getting talked about, or you'll hear the opposite, the former, where we shouldn't be getting them at all. So pay close attention to who's talking and who's advocating for us. Just because they look like us, that don't mean that they're for us. And the last thing I want to leave you all with is something a little bit more positive. Share with you some Black history, talking about people who you may not have heard of. I know there's a lot of these persons that I will share with you all later on as we continue on, you've never heard of in school. So I just wanted to share a couple persons, Dr. Mark Dean and John Henry Thompson. Right now I'm recording this video off of my laptop right now. Dr. Mark Dean actually invented the personal computer monitor, right? It's because of Mark Dean. And then John Henry Thompson, who created the computer language or computer lingo. These two men are the reason why we have computers today, personal computers, as well as the reason why we're able to use a desktop, and that they work as efficiently as they do, that the way that they're able to synthesize information and analyze it and proctor it for how we need to use it. It is because of these two men that we're able to use a device such as the computer or a laptop. And then one other person I would love to mention, Otis Boykin. He created the pacemaker, right, which is typically used to help keep, I believe, the heart or the lungs alive long enough for someone who naturally cannot, continue on. But that wire resistor, that pacemakers, is also used in TVs, radios, and computers. So hopefully that enlighten you all on something. A lot of times, again, many of our inventors in history are not talked about, not mentioned, and so you wouldn't think that many of the things that are in your house and within your communities were actually invented by black men and women. So that's my piece. That's my talk. I hope y'all learned something, and I hope y'all got enlightened. Peace.